But can you guys see me? Or
Yeah, you
Yes.
look great.
okay,
We
I don't
actually
live in
do have
Brazil,
a
but I
good
have an
connection.
English school. What?
We have a great kid. You look great. This
And
is
your background looks
yeah,
great.
this is a very
Yes,
good kid.
it does, right? And you guys, I can't make the joke because you guys are not Brazilian, but there was this really famous Brazilian politician that he was in a conference during COVID, and he was in his home office giving the conference online, but suddenly he goes back in his chair, and behind him there are not real books, it's just a scenario, and he destroys the scenario, and it's horrible, and everybody remembers that, every week there is some kind of conversation about it. It's amazing. It's just
Well, I would vote for that guy.
yeah, right. Right. If he
He's
has-
my hero.
if he has this confidence, right, at least a filmmaker he could be. So really really nice to meet you. And I am a horror writer, and I discovered this very recently because I was just an English teacher, and then during the pandemic I started writing horror, and I got published, and it was amazing, and I started to explore this, and this became an Instagram profile called Baião da Caveira. Baião is a musical style from the region where I was born, and caveira is a skull. So it would be like a song of the skull in the
Oh, cool.
in English. And there I talk about horror, and I talk about books, and I talk about my writing. And I was extremely surprised because when I talked about Hellbender, people didn't know the movie, and they that you guys probably know that we are very stuck in our streaming screens, right? This is a huge problem. People don't discover things anymore. They just stay stuck to that. And people got crazy. So everybody watched the movie. I don't know how they got it, but it was amazing. Started to receive messages, and I said, well, now I'm happy because everybody felt what I felt, and it was awesome. And then I had the second best moment because everybody was complimenting the movie, and I made a live with them, and I said, did you guys know that the songs are real? Did you guys know that they have songs on Spotify? And then I blew their minds again. It was amazing. And the first question that I want to ask you guys, right, point blank, is how many jokes do you guys get from the Addams Family, like the cartoon? How is that in your routine?
If we had a dime for every time someone mentioned that, we'd be pretty rich for sure.
So
Yeah.
I've had the name Adams my whole life. So I've been putting up with it
Forever.
forever. And there's also a beer company here. So it's not just the Addams Family. It's also that there's a beer company called Addams. And so it's been both of those. And there's two presidents called John Adams. So trust me, there's a lot of fighting growing up because of my fucking name.
Yes, and the beer company is like big. People know it. So
Oh, everyone says, oh, yeah, are you related to Sam Adams? And it's always like, oh, my God.
oh man, that's really complicated. I had a little problem with that because my last name is Casado, which in Brazil means married. So I had all kinds of joke forever, but at least the Addams Family is good, right? The cartoon, the movies, they're fun, they're dark, so it's kind of a good connection, right?
Actually, it's a great connection. It is a great connection. And it's nice now that, because we're just really the Addams Family. And it actually is not, don't you think it's kind of nice?
Yeah, sometimes it's made me kind of wonder, like maybe I should have changed my name because I'm still a poser. I mean, even though
Yes.
I kept my last name, but that name Poser comes with its own jokes. Where we're from,
Yes.
because we're a big poser. It's not
Yes.
necessarily a good thing.
And here in Brazil too, every time that you want to offend someone and you want to say you don't really do what you're talking, you say that that person is a poser. So we do that in Brazil with the word poser too, right? So these are jokes. And one of my areas of expertise are comic books. And I don't know if you guys know about this, but I was really anxious to tell you that the Adams Family, when they started as a cartoon, they were a critique on how Protestant North Americans, how they imagined a Mexican Catholic family would be, with schools
Um,
around their house, with rituals and crosses. So it was like a critique. So it connects really well, that imaginary. Because if somebody watches Hellbender, they will not imagine you guys happy and smiling. So they think they're so dark, right? I guess that's a part of the joke, right? Do you
oh,
guys get that
absolutely.
feeling a lot that you are dark and horrible?
It's funny. It's because I always say, somehow it seems so natural that a family that is generally happy, and we do crack jokes a lot, and we smile a lot, and we love each other, and we're happy people, but we love going dark. And I that's
Exactly.
like for me, like I believe in the philosophy of opposites. I think you need that balance, and I think it helps us with what we do.
Totally. When I finished my first short story and it was published, it was very funny because I was my kid. I have a daughter. She's 5, and I was at school, and there was somebody there who said, "I read your story," and I said, "Thank you. Did you like it?" And the person said, "Yes, I did. But are you her father?" And I said, yes. I can't be a father and a nice guy and respect the law, even though I write about a body horror. Right? People, they still have this kind of belief, a very limiting belief about horror, right? And this
Sure.
is one of the things that I really wanted to ask you guys. Why horror?
Great question. I'll answer. My answer is in horror, in the genre of horror, you're allowed to be artistically creative. You're allowed to be artistically. You're allowed to take a ton of chances. So on the art side, that's what's great about doing horror is the freedom. But on the kind of intellectual, emotional side, what's great about horror is you can talk about painful things and disguise them in monsters, in witches, in lots of different things. But they're emotional and spiritual conversations that we like having with the horror community about subjects that they find important too, and they're subjects that we're thinking about. But it's easier to talk about those subjects when it's disguised in horror, rather than make a movie that's like about family abuse or about any kind of abuse or pain, or rather than make a drama that just goes directly and talks about it. It's more fun to make it entertaining so that we can all talk about it in a different venue.
Yes, and it's kind of provocative, right?
Yeah,
Like people watch it and then you can ask, "Hey, what do you think? What message have you got?" Because maybe you got different messages, right? Hellbender has a really powerful message about women and generations and the generational conflict, and but many people don't see that. Many people, some people told me that, "Oh, it's really fun witch story," and I said, "Wow, that's awesome that you got really fun witch story," but there are many layers and interpretations, and this is so nice about horror. And one of the things I discuss with my students, since we study languages, is about the word monster, which is from Latin, and it means the one who brings a warning. So when you use a monster there, probably there's something you want to say behind that, right? And what is the creative process? Because I know all the families involved, right? We have John, we have Toby, we have Zelda. I forgot that is Lulu,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
so how do you guys sit and make a movie? Because it's awesome, right? You have the roles and the characters and the story. How does that work?
A lot of it happens over meals. We love to eat and we love to have meals together. And so we're always doing what we call slinging spaghetti ideas. I mean, we sit and so many great ideas come at the table. We often call the table our office. We also call nature our office because we take a lot of walks, we go for hikes. We could sometimes call the car our office. It's in those places where we're constantly talking. We have a good rapport with our kids, so we're always talking to them, and they talk to us. And it's good to have that friendship and to appreciate their intelligence. And so that's where it happens. We just have a lot of conversations, everything, and we laugh a lot. A lot of time we look out the window, and what's out the window will inform what we're going to shoot.
Also,
Awesome.
we like to talk about what's going on in our life. And like, for example, we just made a movie called Where the Devil Roams. And that movie is about a family that's about to no longer be together. And that's exactly what was going on with our family at the moment, because Lulu had already been to college. So in a sense, we used her as a metaphor of the person who chops the family up first, and that we use that in our movie. And then Zelda is just about to go to college when we were filming it. And so it's a metaphor of what's going on in our family. But once again, we get to talk about it in the horror cinematography. And so it's just really fun because you get to take metaphors, and this one's an emotional metaphor, and you get to make it physical. And so it's about a family getting chopped up, and how do they stay together after getting chopped up. So it's just great conversations to have.
Perfect. It's perfect. And it's not only it's really the family that got chopped up. And I watched the movie yesterday, and it was amazing. I'll talk about it. I have lots of questions about it. I hope you guys are ready to stay with me until midnight. No, I'm kidding. I will try to do this in 1 hour. And the movie is incredible. I really wish I could bleed that black goo that you guys use in the tooth scene, and that black goo, that's really dark red blood, is also in Hellbender, and I wish I could bleed like that. It's amazing. But
Come to our house and we'll make you
I'll
bleed
try.
like that.
And I'll send you the
Jesus,
recipe.
it's really good. And Toby and you, John, you mentioned nature, and this is something I talked to some people, and it really impresses me, because even if you don't like horror, some people, they have problems with blood, they have problems with gore, and that's okay. But many scenes in Hellbender, and this happened again in Where the Devil Roams, nature is really beautiful. I think that anybody who watches the movie can feel that you guys love that, and you guys love the outside. At least that's the impression that we got, right? We who are watching. And I would like to know if that's true. If you guys really feel this kind of connection, because if you guys don't, it's amazing. You guys are the best pretenders ever.
Thank you. We're not pretending in that respect. We do live in the mountains. We live in the Catskill Mountains of New York. We're not in New York City. And what you're seeing in, especially in Where the Devil Roams, everything is shot within 3 mile radius of where we live. And
That's amazing.
yeah, Hellbender was shot there a lot, as well as the Deep Year Dig, but we also were traveling during Hellbender because it was the pandemic and we were living on the road. But but even when we were on the road, nature is our favorite actress. She really is. She does so much of the heavy lifting for us. We don't have fancy lights. We like to use what nature's giving us. We often say that if we could make a title for what we do, it would be Waiting on a Cloud, because often we're just sitting there in nature. We like to shoot in flat light. So we're just waiting for those clouds to come. And then in terms of where we live, also, we constantly are, and Hellbender is really informed by the nature that surrounds us, because we are always hearing the death of nature and the life of nature.
And transformation, right? When you see when we die and then what happens to our body and when everything in nature dies. So there are layers of transformation in Hellbender that are extremely interesting. And you guys can be really happy about the message you are getting across to the public, because everybody who I talked about regarding Hellbender and now Where the Devil Roams, they felt amazed by the shots in nature. In Where the Devil Roams, you can feel the cold, and you can feel the cold roads. And when Seven walks to the door and the guy's a jerk and Seven just needs a piece of the hose, man. And I was like screaming, give him a piece of the freaking hose, man. And Jesus, and it's amazing. It's amazing. I want to connect that with your acting jobs. Do you guys have any kind of acting background? Or when you started doing the movies, let's just do this and we're going to try and act, and you just rolled with it?
I'm going to talk about John because John likes to say he's not an actor.
I'm not.
And he wasn't acting before he started acting in our films, but he is an actor, and he's a brilliant
He's
actor.
really
No,
And I love his acting.
That's my
And
girl.
that's what I'm talking, because John will never say that about himself.
No, you know,
in Where the
okay.
Devil Roams, you had something like, it was like Peaky Blinders with intense trauma, and you have this doctor from
So good.
war. It's Jesus, man.
You know, thanks. That's super generous of you. I think now the four of us enjoy acting together. I think we enjoy bringing these strange characters to life. Like, I enjoy it a lot more. We started out making movies as a family, and I had to act because we needed, otherwise there was just going to be always three girls. And so it's like,
Right.
But now it's a lot more fun. And I think we all enjoy directing each other, and I think we all enjoy trying to figure out what's the core of Seven. You know, what's the core of Maggie, and what's the core of, you know, Zelda's character Eve. And it's fun. It's like we're working on our next movie now, and we're all talking about the internal struggle of those actors, of those characters. It is fun. I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more.
But you know what, Fernando, to answer your question, for me, one of the reasons we started making films was because I have been acting since I was a teenager, and I studied it in school, and I did a lot of theater. And when I hit 40, it's like my acting roles just tanked. You know, it's like nobody wanted to kind of hire me around that age. And so instead of waiting for people, we just decided to do it ourselves.
That's amazing.
You know?
Yeah, and also, you know, I think that we like to try to bring life to characters that I don't think Hollywood really wants to show.
No.
Necessarily. And so it's like we don't wear makeup. We don't try to be a specific, like, classic roles. We're not trying to be sexy man, you know, strong man, you know, and, you know, so it's like, it's fun. It's very exciting that there's an audience out there that wants to see a character like Maggie.
Right.
You know, a 50-something-year-old homicidal but loving matriarch. It's who runs the family. Like, I don't think Hollywood, you know, usually the man runs the family, and the women have certain roles, and there's all these roles that Hollywood wants to keep doing. And I it's nice that there's an audience out there that we're having fun with, that wants to see, you know, like the two female characters in Hellbender. They're very odd.
Exactly. And I while you were talking, I just got goosebumps because I discussed this a lot with some of my followers, because sometimes I receive the same question that I asked you guys: why horror? And they ask me, why horror? Why do you write horror? And I say that I love horror because horror is the outsider. Horror is
Yeah.
the ugly cousin that you don't want in the family dinner. Horror is ignored. Horror is marginalized, and horror was a vessel for many people who were also considered outsiders or minorities, and horror gave them a voice. And this connects with the work that you guys do in many levels. What Toby just said about bodies. When we think about the industry always has decisions about which bodies can act, which bodies can be in a movie, which bodies can be advertised, and this is extremely sad and extremely segregating. And one of the things that is extremely segregating that your work called my attention is that if you look at many horror movies, it's always really masculine. You really have a masculine gaze. You have all the hot girls that are about to die, and they have like zero clothes or small clothes, and the killer always has this phallic gun, like a blade or a sword or something. And I was really happy when I saw Toby destroy a man in Hellbender, making him disappear in thin air. And when she started killing again all those horrible men in Where the Devil Roams. And this is something that I talk about regarding what I write. The main character in my recent short story is a 56-year-old cleaning lady who has to, and she was married to a bandit, and she had to kill this guy to survive. And now here in Brazil, many Brazilian cities received Nazi guys after the war, and we received them here and we treated them well. And she receives one of these guys in her city, and she has to kill him. So it's amazing. I tried to use a real story about a city that has like 1,000 people near me, and I adapted that into fiction. So something that I say to everybody: men will die. If it depends on me, on my story, that's my little contribution to society. Men will die, and they will die horribly. And what you guys do is amazing. And is this something conscious? Like, do you guys do that because, oh no, we want to make a statement, or that's natural?
Oh, that's a nice way you've asked that question. That's a great,
Yeah.
the way you asked that question is great, because it is natural, but we're conscious of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, for example, like in Hellbender, we wanted the opening scene to be super, like, we needed to establish the power of the witch, and we needed to establish like this character and start to introduce the myth to the audience, so the audience is like, wait, I gotta know what just happened. Why did that just happen? But it was very important that we didn't follow the old way and have a bunch of men drag a woman out, rape her, and burn her. So what we wanted was we had a whole lot of women kill a woman.
Exactly.
But we don't want to, like, you don't talk about that in the movie, you just show it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's not like an explanation of look at what we're doing. It's more just, this is the way it is.
It's like Seven. Seven doesn't kill.
No, Seven, he's everything. That's also like, we're conscious of that. We're not trying to make a political, or we're not trying to make a statement. It's more natural about what we believe. And it was great that Seven can't kill. He can't even, he's so not the classic male.
Yes.
Yeah, In this dynamic and where the devil roams, Seven is the intellect and Maggie is the body. And that was important for us. That he was all about like thought and brain and
Reading
education
all the time.
Yeah.
He's education, and Maggie is very uneducated. She's all about her brawn and strength, the arms that can either hug you or strangle you.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why we gave them, we hurt them where we did, because it was wonderful conflict.
Yes.
But also it's important to notice that she does have all the power. She's got all the love power.
Yes.
And she also got all the physical violent power.
Yes.
And it's fun because I don't think Seven looks at all weak or anything. I think that he looks very loving. And
Exactly.
I think that is fucking wonderful.
It is.
And it's okay that the woman wants to literally wear the pants in the family. When she finds that tuxedo, the audience may think, oh, she's going to take that to Seven, but she's like, no, I'm going to put my body in that tuxedo because why not?
Exactly. And that's amazing. And I guess that we really need that because we're coming from 40, 50 years in the horror industry where you have the male gaze and the male roles and the guys, they get to do the violence. And that's a really interesting shift that we have in the movies. Now, that is something that I really wanted to discuss. That John mentioned, it is the word loving and the word sweet, and we are talking about movie about the devil. So that really got me. I was watching it and I was, my God, I'm cheering, I'm rooting for the Psycho family, and when when Lulu Adams killed Seven, my heart just broke, and I had to stop the movie. As she swung the axe, I had to stop the movie. And my daughter is 5, and she was not watching with me, but she was playing around, and she said, "What, Dad? You sad?" And I was like, "Fucking yes, I'm freaking sad." And then I had to wait some seconds to get back to that because I kind of felt that she was going to kill more, and then she attacks Toby's character, right? And this is amazing because they're sweet, and you have depression era America, and everybody is in a horrible scenario, and they're working at the carnival, but they are sticking together, and they are like a wolf pack, and,
Yes.
right? And it's amazing. And Eva, she doesn't speak, but in her face you can see that you cannot mess with the wolves, you cannot do that. And she is amazing. Zelda is an amazing, her emotions, right, with the eyes, it's amazing. And here comes the question again. This was intentional or natural, this sweetness? Because in Hellbender, we also have sweetness. When my wife asked me, "Fernando, you love the Hellbender, what is it about?" And I said, believe it or not, it's a mother and a daughter. That's what I can say.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
For us, you have to have love, because once you have the more love you have, the more violence, pain, and darkness you can have too. Again, it's that like philosophy of opposites. I think you need the balance, and the more love you have, the more is at stake. The more you have to survive for, the more you have to kill for. So love is very, very important in our horror, and we don't shy away from that expression at all. In fact, I think it's a strength in horror.
And also, you're talking about something that's important too. I love that you call them wolves. You're the first person who's ever called them wolves. And that's a great phrase, because wolves are complicated.
And wow.
And we love
Yes.
to talk about complicated things, because these days, at least in America, I don't know about Brazil, but I do know that in America, everything's now been just broken down to simple. There's good and there's bad.
Yes.
There's black and there's white, and there's only two answers, and everybody has to divide up and
And
get
they're
in there.
always fighting.
Yes. And there's nothing in between. And we think that we want to talk about the complication, that how complicated it is to be a human. So every human receives a lot of pain, but they also give a lot of pain. And I think we want to continue to have the conversation about how complicated it is to be a human.
Yes,
And
exactly.
and this family is complicated, and just like wolves are complicated.
There
You-
was,
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote Where the Devil Roams. I didn't check that before this interview, but there is a moment. There were two very powerful moments in Where the Devil Roams for me. The killing, when that girl swings the axe, I just wish I could kill her many times. Uh, but the second moment was when Toby's character, she is just a sentence, is that perfect brilliant moment when somebody who writes, he gives you a sentence, and that sentence makes you understand everything. She speaks, my mother killed my brother because he lost his shoes, but I lost the shoes. And
Oh
that's
my
it.
God.
So Jesus, man, come on. And I can't tattoo that phrase because I'm running out of space and because people will what? But it's so brilliant because it's one simple sentence, and the sentence is spoken in the right moment and with the right emotions, and you understand that character completely. Completely, and that's brilliant. And now let's talk about that. How is the writing done? It's like you guys have 8 hands to do the writing. How do you do that, and how do you get to this level of emotion? It's amazing. I told you I was a fanboy. I'm sorry.
No, that first of all, you're the first person who's brought up the most important sentence of the movie.
It's amazing.
So thank you for paying so close attention. And that is just the nicest thing that you just said. So thank you.
It's really amazing.
Your question is also really good about, well, why did that sentence come out? And it came out as that sentence came out because we were learning about Maggie as we were shooting. And we got to that situation.
Well, it's interesting because I had found when we were on the Hellbender circuit, we were driving around collecting props and wardrobe for the film. When we got home and we knew we would start shooting Where the Devil Roams, and I kept finding these little baby shoes. And I was like, I didn't quite know why yet, but I knew it was going to be important for me. And so I was thinking about it symbolically as the shoes represented people who live close to the earth. They're dirt kissers, they walk so close to the earth and they live among the dirt. And then of course it's a baby shoe. So all of that represents, like, in a way, Maggie's childhood was just, it stopped at 6 years old, with her abuse and killing her mother and father. But then as we started shooting and we were shooting that scene, John had that beautiful idea for the line. And by then we understood what we were trying to do all along.
That it was shockingly good, and you can see that with Seven, for example. You need to have some visuals, so you have the boys dying in war, and you have the really great sequences where I really didn't expect. When he was cutting that arm off, I expected everything except what happened, and it was brutal. And it's amazing because you guys built it. It was built in a way that it's really sweet. They really love each other, and they're killing people who should be killed. This is a really interesting point. And you talked about the wardrobe, and you can see that everybody they kill, everybody's really clean, and everybody is like they had a shower, and they're really fancy and elegant. And you can see that Maggie, Seven, and Eve are they're dirty. They're working people who they don't have comfort. You can see that in Maggie's eyes when she looks at the houses. And there are many interesting levels. And how did you guys get to the vigilante uh, detail, like killing those? I really want to say swear words. I think I should, but I'm trying to control myself because of the internet. As John said, everybody's all black and white, and if I say, "Why are you killing those fuckers? They deserve to die," if somebody will say, "Hey, Fernando, wait, they are, aristocrats. They're not evil. Of course they are. Of course they are. They're aristocrats. They're slaving people." But well, so how did you guys get to the vigilante side? It was amazing too. Like it was like the icing on the cake.
That's really awesome. You've said a bunch of great stuff. You're the first person who also has mentioned Maggie looking at the houses and wanting it and missing,
So true.
like not like, I love that. That's actually maybe my favorite scene because it says everything that she wants comfort. She just wants, that's part of her dream about getting on the big stage. It's like, if that could maybe get her a house, no more sleeping next to the car and no more bad food. And, so I love that scene. And now to the vigilante question. Do you want to answer that one?
Well, we knew we wanted Maggie to be the violent one here.
Right.
I mean, and it's interesting that when Eve takes it over, she doesn't get the joy her mother gets out of it. It's really just to procure body parts.
Exactly.
Eve would much rather be making art out of her mother's violence.
Yeah.
Eve is an artist. But we had fun. I still miss Maggie every day. I kind of loved being that sort of like, bandit of with a conscience. So
Yes.
she thinks.
Yes.
So we had fun, and it was important for us to, even though they're doing horrible things, it was important for her to have some kind of moral compass.
Right.
She just makes a mistake because she's so uneducated that she doesn't know what the Norwegian flag looks like,
Yes.
And,
yes.
and I think that's important, though. I think part of what's important is you want to we don't just want to have just blatant, like you said, in 80 slashers, let's just kill people, let's kill 13 people and that'll be the movie.
Yes.
We wanted her to have some kind of proper motivation, but we also wanted to show that even if there's motivation of killing those fuckers or killing those aristocrats, like the audience can kind of be like, yeah, I can understand that. That's complicated too, and it's tricky, and it never works. And so we wanted to justify her violence, but also set her up to show that it's not black and white. You can't be a judge.
Exactly.
You're gonna pay. And we always, with all of her violence, she pays one way or another. And we thought that was very important.
Yeah. And also, we also liked the conflict of a loving couple where one is compelled to kill and the other has a compulsion to blood. So it's like, that's just good. That's good storytelling. Yeah, exactly. It's just great storytelling. It's great conflict. And then where does that leave their child? There is a triangle here.
And it's like having to say a rhyme when you can't speak. So when you talked about the opposites, that fits perfectly in the movie. One of the things that made me connect really well with Where the Devil Roams, it's because I love Mary Shelley, and she was the object of my research when I was in grad school. and you can see that she was a woman that she was completely destroyed. So she lost all these kids; they were all dead, her children, and she wasn't a person. She didn't have something that was hers, because Mary was her mother's name, and Godwin was her father's name, and Shelley was her husband's name. She didn't even have a name. So she was all, everything was pieces. And then she conjures this monstrosity made of pieces that she was trying to save in some subconscious level. And you can see Eva doing that
Yeah.
consciously, and she does that, and she doesn't even flinch. And that's what you should do, right? Because of course you love your parents, and whatever, if you're using the devil's, you know, thing, I forgot how to say needle, you're using the devil's needle, right? Whatever, whatever, if the magician is going to rot, he, you know, you're saving your parents. And I guess that by the end of Where the Devil Roams, I was seeing every character, they were trading humanity for their family. They were
Right.
trading humanity for love, and that's an extremely powerful message. Uh, and did you guys think about this when you were going towards the end? Eve is going to be killing now. Eve that was cutting the dolls, she will now be collecting body parts. Did you guys think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're saying something that's really important, and that's why it's called Where the Devil Roams, because God doesn't even pay attention to
Ah,
these people,
yes,
and the devil does,
of
and
course.
that's what's that we find very something fun to talk about. Is God is the way God has been built by society is, first of all, He is
Yes.
untouchable. He is untouchable and you and it's just like a ruler that rules. But the devil has been thrown to earth. The devil is down in earth with us. He's in the dirt, or even she is in the dirt. It is in the dirt with us. So it
Yes.
is like, even if you want to have fun and be like, the devil's number is a human number, it's 6. God's 7, but
Yes.
the devil is 6. You know, like the Pixies like to say, and so it's like, and it's what's fun about that is, well, okay, well, if the devil is the one down with us, maybe that's the one that we should be paying more attention to, and that's what this family does. Like you said, it uses the devil's magic to stay together, but why not? Because God isn't even paying attention.
And the
Yes.
devil has its own designs too. You know, it was important for us to have this little sub story about the love story of the devil and the woman the devil meets up above, you know, on Earth, and of course she's human, so she dies. So it was fun. It was fun to kind of have these parallel stories.
Yeah.
And in the end, the audience can question. Well, like you were saying earlier when we were talking, some might just see blood and guts, but others will question. Well, is this a good devil or is it a bad devil? Who's got the power? Who's holding the strings? Who's the puppet master here? Is it the devil or is it Eve? Who does find her agency through the film. In the end, she becomes quite strong, and she is the one who becomes the caretaker, the sort of the matriarch of the family in the end. And she's been practicing her whole life, you know, cutting pieces of dolls, and now she has a living one.
Yes. And just a quick comment about Pieces of Dolls. The movie poster is amazing. I'm trying
Ah,
to I'm trying to find somewhere where I can print it really big to put it here with those dolls cut, and the writing. It's amazing. Going
oh,
back
thanks.
to the story, it's simply amazing. And the devil is really punk rock. Is really the opposite, as Toby said. It's really the real outsider, because he was the guy who was cast down because he said, "I will not serve."
Yeah,
And there is nothing more punk rock than that.
exactly.
And if we can talk about punk rock, I discovered today, that's how incompetent I am about interviewing people. I discovered today that there is a CD. Then the name of the CD is Where the Devil Roams, and I already listened to it like 40 times. And I want to know, what is the process? Like, you guys make excellent movies and you make excellent music, and that's together, or those are separate moments, or the movies demand the soundtrack and this is organic?
This time the movie demanded us. We wrote the soundtrack for the movie.
All right.
Yeah, for Hellbender, we wrote a lot of the music before the movie. But for this one, we wrote the music only for the movie, and we all did it together. We talked a lot about what we wanted, and we really felt like we wanted a certain big, like kind of slow, distorted sound with the
Yes,
ethereal
yes.
girl singing over it. And we just wanted we wanted this soundtrack to be very homogenous. We wanted it to really have a tone, because we knew that the movie look was going to have a pretty specific tone. And we wanted the music this time to be very specific. In Hellbender, the music's more kind of like, sometimes it's a fast punk rock song, sometimes it's a slow song, sometimes it's electronica, which is fun too.
Yes.
But this one, we wanted a super specific tone, and it was a lot of fun to write for this movie.
It was amazing, and I still have the picture really clear in my head when I saw Toby with that microphone like Lemmy from Motorhead, and she
Yes.
and she was singing, and Zelda had the makeup, and I was like, oh my god, I want to be a witch. And it was a really powerful moment in Hellbender. And when I listened to the song in Where the Devil Roams, I got so happy because it was there again. And I hope
Yeah.
that you guys do that in every project, because it's simply amazing. My daughter, as I told you, is 5 years old, so I talk to my daughter like she's a grown up. I really don't care.
Good.
And we were talking about getting old, and I said, well, when daddy gets really old, that gets 70 or 80, and that doesn't speak anything that makes sense, and that is making those horrible jokes, you can kill daddy, you can do something so daddy disappears. But in daddy's funeral, I want No Light, which is a 4-minute brilliant song in Where the Devil Roams. I want that song while the coffin is walking, and that is the song. And I try to speak Portuguese and English with her, and she speaks some words. She has a very nice pronunciation, and she said, "No Light," and I said, "Yes, No Light. That's the name of the song." Because it's amazing. It's the biggest song in the CD, and it's destroying you. You know, you feel like, yeah, you feel like things are coming down around you, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
That is so cool.
love- Okay, like you are so
I want to crawl through this and just like be there in the room with you.
Yeah, it would be
Yes.
better if we were just sitting in a room together. Yeah, just your awareness of things that are important to us is striking to me. One is, the first thing you said was the way Lemmy's microphone is.
Yeah,
So
that's
important
so right.
that we did a Lemmy stance.
Yes.
And we used a Lemmy bass too, which is his Rickenbach.
Yeah.
And so it was like, because Lemmy is the greatest bass player ever, and we needed to worship him. So that's
Totally.
great. You
Totally.
call-
And that's how we know that everybody that speaks that Lemmy is God is wrong. Because if Lemmy were God, things would be awesome, right? We would have many discussions that we had now. Well, I really took like a lot of your time. I hope you guys are not angry. I just can't stop talking. And I have just some more questions. One of the last questions that I have is, what is the future? What is coming? What's coming for us?
we're really just similarly to Where the Devil Roams, where we were really excited when Zelda had the idea of this family of circus performers that evolved into sideshow performers. We're really excited about what we're going to do next, which is also about a different kind of family. It's going to be a father and daughter, and they go into the woods to meet a witch doctor they go to cure the daughter who has a terminal disease.
It's going to be it's going to be so fun. And once again, we're going to talk about a subject that's a part of our lives.
Personal.
And we're going to dress it up in a horror movie. But I think what's really going to be fun about this movie is now I get to be Zelda's dad. And it's so fun. Yeah, it's going to be so fun just to be Zelda's dad. And then we go to meet this kind of strange woman.
That's going to be amazing. And especially because something that people don't learn, no matter how many movies you make, is that maybe you should let some things die, right? Maybe you should try that, but people don't pay attention. People want that life forever and that dear person in their family forever. So that makes me really anxious. I really enjoy that. And
Great.
And one of the big questions I wanted to ask you is, what is your relationship with horror movies? Because I imagine that you guys probably enjoy it a lot. I can be wrong, but what is it? What is your relationship with horror movies? Do you guys watch it? What is it? The routine?
Yeah, we do watch it. We talk about it. We're in New York City at the moment, and we were here for the New York City Horror Festival to watch another colleague's film last night. And we love supporting other filmmakers. It's really cool. Like, we've always loved watching movies together, all kinds of genres. But since we started making horror film in particular, we watch and then we talk, and we talk. Then we watch again. It's so much fun to talk about movies,
especially horror movies. So we watch a lot of horror movies, and as soon as it's over, everybody rates it. We have a 1 to 10. Everyone will say, "What do you think?" 1 to 10. Then we'll say, "What did they do great?" And then we say, what do we think that they didn't do well? So that we can all, as filmmakers, just talk together and about that stuff. But no, horror, again, this is kind of goes back to the beginning of our conversation when we started, is so fun because filmmakers are allowed to be so creative. So even in a movie that we watch, a horror movie that maybe we say, we didn't like it that much, there's usually some piece of art in it that's exceptional. So it's never, what's so great about horror is at least the horror we watch isn't polished. We don't go to the movie theaters and watch the Hollywood horror. We go to the internet and we watch private a lot of independent horror.
Yeah, here in Brazil we have an expression for that. In English it would be boutique horror.
Okay, great.
Say yes, we don't like boutique horror because sometimes films, they get too attached to the industry and they even don't get the message across. And it's really nice when you see something that doesn't have some kind of limitations, because when you have limitations in budget, when you have limitations in, I don't know, time, in actors, it's okay, you do something. But when you have limitations that they are impairing the ability of the movie to talk, it's really bad. It's really
correct. Yeah, we agree. Last night we watched a movie and they didn't have much money, and they did something. You're so right, because limitations make you make artistic decisions to overcome those limitations. And last night they made some editing decisions that I had never seen before, and I know why they did it, because they couldn't show the horror because they couldn't afford what they wanted to show. So they did an editing trick that was genius.
Okay, what's the movie?
Faceless After Dark.
I'm
Yeah.
just typing here. Amazing.
And when you watch it, when you see the editing fix that they did, I think you're gonna be like, oh my God, yes, this is,
Nice.
I don't know exactly what your taste is, but I obviously you're very fucking aware of what you're watching. And so I think you'll enjoy these editing tricks that I thought were so smart. And when they did them, I was like, oh my God, that's such a great idea. You know what I'm talking about.
No.
Well, we talked about it today.
Oh,
That was one of the choices. It's just so smart. Anyway,
That's
but
amazing.
any movie, yeah,
It's really nice when you see directors and people involved making those kinds of decisions. Sometimes you see a horror movie that is independent and there is a lot of dark, but that dark makes things so good, even though it was put there because the person didn't have a green screen, you know.
yeah.
So I guess that's one of the, oh my God, did I lose you guys? No. Okay.
here we go.
Just for a second, we're back.
Okay. So that's the beauty. That's the beauty. And that's the last comment I want to make about Where the Devil Roams. The dark is amazing. All the scenes where you have the clowns and when you have the scene of the tooth, that scene is brutal and everything is so dark, and that's amazing. And that's amazing. It's a joke that I make with some friends. I have some friends that occasionally they will say something like, you like horror a lot. And I usually say, yeah, life is too bright. So it's too freaking sunny. I live in a place where there are no clouds. That is always sunny. So I need that. I need that to balance things, the opposites that Toby mentioned. Guys, I really want to stay and talk to you guys until midnight. I feel that you are brothers and sisters from another mother, but I think that we need to call it a day, right?
Fernando, same here. Where are you in Brazil? Because we
I
might
am
just show up and knock on your door.
awesome. I am in really near to the coast. There is a state called Rio Grande do Norte, and that is where I am. I am in a small city with 50,000 people. It's called Caicó. It's a small city, and we are in a region that is called Sertão. Sertão is a very interesting concept. It's an empty space that is marginalized, that is forgotten by the government, and is a place where culture thrives,
Great.
regardless of help, regardless of aid. So it's a really nice place to be. And I really hope
that's
you guys
great.
can come to Brazil. That would be amazing.
I've been to Brasilia. I went
the
to
capital.
Brasilia for 2 weeks, and it was incredible.
I've got to go to Brazil. I was just in Argentina. In fact, I was on a jury with an Argentinian filmmaker named Araldo Borges.
Yes.
And he's a sweetheart.
And Argentina made one of the best horrors of the year. I don't know if you guys watched it. Is When Evil Lurks.
I was just going to ask you. Yeah.
Quando
Amazing.
aceita la maldad. What the hell? That's brutal. That's brutal.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's
I
brutal.
got to hang out with Damien there, and he's a wonderful person too.
Yes,
It's nice when people you admire.
next week. I'm interviewing him next week. Yeah.
Tell him I say hi.
I will. I said, please find some time in your schedule, and he's trying to manage that. He's still trying to, but it will. I think it will work. And When Evil Lurks is amazing, and it's brutal.
It's fantastic.
I was telling some people that I love when the movie ends and it's a horrible ending, because Spielberg and other directors, they already fed us tons of happy stories, but life's not like that. Life is like When Evil Lurks. Things end, and they end brutally, and they will consume you, and when you finish the movie you feel bad and you feel crippled, and that's what I like. It's amazing.
Yeah, like I felt great when it was over, because it was over and I was like, oh my fucking God, that was fucking awesome. That was the darkest shit I have ever seen in my fucking life. It was amazing.
I'll never stay with kids alone again. And I was a school teacher. I until COVID, I worked in schools, and with COVID, my daughter arrived, so I decided to quit, and I only teach at home. I teach English online, only at home to stay with my daughter. And that was the first thing that came to my mind. I would see a class full of kids totally different if I, hiding teachers under the floorboard. It would be amazing.
It's great.
Yes.
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Guys, I loved talking to you. You guys are amazing, and you guys are incredible filmmakers, and I hope you thrive even more. And I hope that all the family is well, and that you guys rock. That's it.
Obrigada.
We look
De
forward to the
nada.
next time we get to talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really look forward to that.
And Fernando, if your short stories are ever, if they're translated into English as well, I would love to read them.
I shall. I will do that especially for you guys. I promise. Okay.
Please do.
This interview, I will put it on YouTube, and I'll put it on a podcast, and I'll send you guys all the links. And I hope you guys have an awesome week. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Thank you.
Obrigada.
Have a great night.
See you. Bye bye. Peace.